Today we're going to check out these 3/8 Icon Comfort Grip ratchets from Harbor Freight. Now I've already done a video reviewing the chrome handled Icon ratchets. If you haven't seen that, I'm going to put it up top here or here. You can go check that out before this video or after this video, or not at all, whatever you like.
I can't deal, diamonds so pearls, and I don't wanna take you traveling the world, but I can love you. Yeah, I'm gonna love you. I'll give you all of what I've got. I'm gonna love you, babe. Cross my heart and hope to die.
If you're new here, I just want to recap a little bit. A few weeks ago, I tried to get in touch with Harbor Freight. They did get back in touch with me, and I talked to the quality assurance and product development head guy and the Icon team lead head guy, and they asked me if they could send me a few tools out. Now, there wasn't any conditions. They just said they wanted me to give them some feedback. They said I didn't have to do a video. If I didn't want to, I didn't have to do anything. They just wanted some honest feedback. So I've already done a review of the tools they sent me. They sent me some wrenches, sockets, and some ratchets. Now, in the chrome handled ratchet video, I did say that I prefer the comfort grip over the chrome handled, and they watched it and they sent me out these comfort grip ratchets. Now, I just want to be 100% honest with you and let you know that they did send these to me. But with that being said, I still try to be as objective as possible. The main thing that I try not to do, man, I'm not going to lie to anybody. I'm going to try to give you 100% honest reviews on everything, regardless if I paid for it or not. Now, with that being said, I had planned already to go purchase these ratchets. And my store in my area actually just put them ratchets up, I think yesterday or the day before. I can't remember, but it was just recently. But they had already sent these out to me. With that being said, I do plan on purchasing some Icon tools to do some more reviews in the future and to use, because as I've said in my videos, I do believe that the Icon tools that I've used, I do believe they are high quality tools and can be used by professionals, DIYers, advanced DIYers, or anyone for that matter. But as I said, today we're just going to look at, I have the 14-inch 3/8 Flex Head Icon ratchet, I have the 10-inch Flex Head Icon ratchet, and I have the 9 7/16 fixed head Icon ratchet. So we do have two Flex Head ratchets and that one. I'm just going to focus on the Flex Head ratchets because, as I said, did the chrome handled ratchets. The only thing that's going to be different compared to this and a chrome handle is obviously going to be the comfort grip. And that all comes down to a matter of opinion on what feels more comfortable to you. As I've said, the comfort grips are more comfortable to me because I feel like my hands can get a hold of them better. And with that being said, there are different styles of comfort grips, which we'll try to talk about a little bit. And every man's going to be different. Every woman's going to be different. Everybody's going to have their own feel, their own touch. So what feels good to me might not necessarily feel good to you, but we will talk about the different options. Now, what I won't be doing today is I will not be testing these ratchets to failure. I don't want to test these ratchets to failure because these ratchets are not designed to be tested to failure. Yeah, you want to see how strong they are, and it's cool to watch. I understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. But with that being said, a 3/8 Flex Head ratchet is not meant to be, put on 200 foot-pounds of torque and just shattered with a pipe on it. They're not meant for that. They're meant for lighter applications, for faster applications. They're smaller, slimmer. You can put them in places that you might not be able to fit the 1/2-inch drive in. Now, if we're dealing with a 25-inch Flex Head ratchet, then yeah, I'd like to test that to failure because those are the ratchets that we're going to be applying torque on, not these ratchets. But with that being said, what is important to me is the fact that maybe I could stretch this 100 foot-pounds, which should be about the max that you would put on this, maybe 120, and that's if we're using it in the way that it's not designed for, because to be able to grab this 10-inch ratchet by the handle and apply that much torque, you got to be a lot stronger than me, believe me. But with that being said, as we know, we don't use tools like they're designed for. We use the tool that we have in our hand and we try to make it work. However, we have to make it work. If we have to put a pipe on the end of it, then we put a pipe on the end of it. So it is important to be able to stand up to having a pipe put on it. But what I'm interested in today is I'm going to try to flex this handle. I'm going to try to flex the heads, and we're going to see if I can put some good torque on it, and we're going to see how much they flex and if they bounce back, because they are going to have some flex in them. All of these ratchets are going to have some flex in them. Now, you don't want too much flex, obviously, but the main thing is that I want it to bounce back to where it was. I don't want to overstress this. So I feel like that if I can go out here, which we're going to do, and take off some lug nuts on my truck, which I have torqued down. I believe I torqued them to 120, I think was the spec. I can't remember. It's anywhere between 90 to 120, 130, somewhere in that area. So they are tight. So if this ratchet is able to pull those off and put them back on, I think that's the most extreme case that you'll use in a real world scenario. Now, as I've said, I can give you an opinion today. I can give you an opinion on what I see today, on what I do today, but I can't really give you 100% confident opinion that everything's going to work out, because I need to test these tools 6 months to a year, somewhere in that area of everyday hard use, to see if they're going to be able to handle the stresses that we put on them every day. That's what's important. Now, we could test strength, we could do everything, we could take a look at them, which we're going to do. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here. Now, I've taken off the comfort grips on the Pittsburgh and on the Icon. I tried on the Mako, but that Mako comfort grip did not want to come off. So we're just going to look at the Pittsburgh and the Icon without the comfort grips on them. Then I'll put the comfort grips back on them. And as I said, we'll test to see how much flex we can put on them and still be able to bounce back, which is, I think, the most important thing. And we're going to pop the hood. We're going to take a look inside. We're going to see if it's any different from the straight head Icon ratchet, which I'm going to bet it is, because I can see straight off the bat that the heads are smaller. But we'll take a look at that when we get over here, and we'll go ahead and do that right now. So let's get over here and open these up. Okay, let's talk about what I consider important in a flex head. Now, there are different styles of flex heads. You have your locking flex heads, which I do like the locking flex heads, but they can be a hassle sometimes, but they can also be a blessing sometimes. So they do come in handy, but I do like to have all different styles. The locking flex head, then you have the indexing flex head here. This has teeth down here that catch a ball detent, and it will stop the head from moving, but with pressure, it will still move. And then you have the free flex head, which these are probably my favorite flex heads. Now, the thing that you have to worry about on these is these bolts coming loose and your head becoming real sloppy. That's the thing that I don't like about them. So what I always like to do is just pull this off, get you some good Loctite that bolt, and put it back in. Don't even take the chance on the Loctite that they use. As Justin Dow seen in his video, his bolt did come loose after a couple weeks of using these, but they all come loose. Some faster than others, obviously, because a couple weeks of that coming loose is pretty fast. But I'm going to take the bolt out and I'm going to put some good Loctite on, which I have. I have some really high strength industrial Loctite, and I'm going to put that on the bolt and put the bolt back, because there's nothing worse than having a really sloppy head, especially when you have a socket on there. And if you can't, you have to constantly hold it and put the socket on. So it is a pain if you have to keep worrying about that. So that's like a main thing, and you want to keep this as tight as possible to keep the head having some sort of stiffness in it. Now, that's really important, and with a especially with a 3/8 flex head, the tooth count's important, because I do want a smaller head. I do want to not have to require as much space to make it engage a tooth or not. So I do like that they have the 90 teeth in them. Now, there is some Gearwrench 120 XP flex head ratchets. I haven't had a chance to check those out yet, but from what I've seen, they look pretty nice. And they do require a 3-degree arc to be able to make that tooth engage. And as I said, the head size, you want the head to be as slim as possible to be able to get in places that maybe you can't get into with a fatter head. A 3/8 is more of a everyday utility ratchet to me. You have your 1/4 inch for your smaller interior stuff, smaller bolts, or for smaller areas that you can't get into. You know, bleeding brakes is good to use a 1/4 inch ratchet for. That's why I have the long flex head 1/4 inch ratchet, the J.H. Williams ratchet I have. I actually bought that specifically for bleeding brakes, because it is a hassle to get up in there with a wrench sometimes and be able to turn it, because the size of the wrench that you get for an 8-9 millimeter is not very big, so you can't apply much torque on it to be able to break that loose. So I do like using that for that. But the 3/8, it covers a wide range. You know, you're going to have your 1/4 inch to an inch that you're usually looking at in standard, obviously. And that covers a wide range, and you can do a lot of things with that. But as we get up bigger, and that's why I don't like, as I said, testing these to failure, because once we get up bigger, because we're looking at 21, 22, 23, 24 on up, you know, those are the big bolts. Those are the suspension bolts, the lug nuts that you're going to be taking off. And we're going to be using either, like I said, the 25-inch Flex Head Ratchet or a breaker bar on something like that, or an impact if the situation is ideal. That makes it a lot easier than having to even worry about that. And, you know, I obviously said that I like the comfort grip, but as I said, that's a preference, man. It's a complete, you know, some people might be more comfortable holding these. Some people might be more comfortable holding the old square Craftsman ratchets. But me personally, I like the round comfort grips. Now, as I said before, we can talk about the different types of comfort grips, because if we look at the, I don't own any snap-on comfort grips, but I can explain to you the snap-on. It looks similar to this, and they do have 2 flat spots here to help with gripping, which does feel pretty good in your hand. But I'm going to be honest with you right here. This is probably the best comfort grip that I've ever felt. And it's actually smaller, and I wouldn't have thought that I would like it as much. But the way it fits in my hand, and you can see the shape of it, and my pinky set's perfect right there. And the way it fits in my hand, it just fits really good. It has the hump right there and the 2 indentions here for your forefinger and your pinky, and it fits really good. This is probably the most comfortable comfort grip that I've used, and I also like how it tapers out on the end here to help keep the ratchet in your hand. As we look at the Icon, it is all the way around and is flared out, but it's a completely different shape than the Matco. As we see, this has more of a comfortable feel to it than all the round ones that I've used. So as I said, that's quickly became my favorite style of comfort grip. But we look at the Icon comfort grip, and we can compare that to the Pittsburgh comfort grip, and they do look almost identical. Obviously, the colors are flip-flopped, but they do look similar in shape. Now, it does seem like to me like the Icon is a little fatter down here at the bottom than the Pittsburgh, which does, in my opinion, make it a little bit more comfortable. But as I said before, it's just going to be a personal preference on what feels more comfortable to you. I have bigger hands, so I do like bigger comfort grips. I thought I liked bigger comfort grips until I felt this one. But before that, I did like the 1/2-inch comfort grip. It's a big comfort grip. This is a big ratchet. This is a Pittsburgh as well. I haven't had a chance to check out the 1/2-inch Icon comfort grip ratchets, but I will check those out. I'm going to buy those, and we will check them out at a later time. But as I said before, I did take the comfort grips off of the Icon and off of the Pittsburgh. So we're going to take a look under these as well. But when I look at these comfort grips compared to one another, the Icon comfort grip does appear to be thicker than the Pittsburgh. It has less give in it, and it does feel like it probably is better made. And as I said, we could look down here and see a difference down at the bottom as well. But overall design, they are pretty much exactly the same. But as I said, I was actually comfortable using the Pittsburgh. I've used this Pittsburgh 3/8 Flex Head Ratchet for a couple years at work, and I used it every day, and I've put some serious torque on that, and I've never broke it. I've put pipes on it. I abuse my tools, so I've definitely put this through the ringer, and it's survived. It's never broke once. But let's open these up. Let's take a look. Now, can you tell which ratchet's which? Can you tell which ratchet is the Pittsburgh or which ratchet is the Icon? Leave it down in the comments if you think you know. Now we can look and see, I can see a difference. It might be harder for you to see the difference, but I can see a difference in the head. These head designs are completely different. This Pittsburgh head design is fatter, and as we can see, when it comes up, where it meets here, where your bolt goes in here, the head actually protrudes past that. So that I feel like could be a disadvantage, because when you look at this one, this is even all the way up. So you have nothing to catch on anything, nothing to hang up on anything. And this head is a lot slimmer. And as I said, with a Flex Head Ratchet, that's what I'm looking for. If we look at the difference between the straight handled Icon ratchet and this ratchet, we can see a big difference in the heads. There are a big difference in the heads. We're going to open it up and we're going to take a look at the heads on the inside. But before we do, let's take a look at these handles. Now, when we line these up, these are pretty close to the same size. It does appear that the Pittsburgh is actually a little bit longer than the Icon. But if we put this comfort grip up to the lip, and we'll put this comfort grip up to the lip, and we can see they're pretty much identical on the bottom. They're gonna have some hard, it's gonna be filled in down here, and this handle is gonna go all the way down to the bottom of the comfort grip. Now, people were asking if they go all the way through, if they go all the way through. You know, that's not gonna make a tremendous amount of difference, in my opinion, as to whether they put another 1/2 inch down here or not, because your weak link on this ratchet is obviously where your flex head meets. That's gonna be your weakest link on this ratchet. On the ratchet itself, now, the thing that's probably gonna break, it's either gonna be the actual drive will break or the joint will break right here. But I see a lot of times your cheaper flex heads, when you do put some torque on them, these will bend, these will come loose, and that's how I can tell a cheaper flex head ratchet is how well this joint holds up. Now, we can look and see, I mean, these are pretty similar. This is fatter right here, and the head is fatter. So it's gonna come down to the quality of metal, and we can see, like, I mean, I've used this for a couple years, and I could maybe polish this back up if I had a new one. Well, this is a newer one. And I can see a pretty big difference in the chrome finish. So, I mean, I believe, as I said before, I believe that they have, you know, put higher quality materials in these icons and in the internals as well. As we've seen when we looked at the straight head 3/8 ratchets, the internals on those, in my opinion, were superior to the Tekton and superior to a lot of the other ratchets. Now, whether that will remain to be true over time, we can only wait and see for that. But just my initial impression, I felt like it was better than the Tekton and better than the other ratchets that we looked at, the Pittsburghs and the Cobalts and whatnot. Now, when we start talking about Snap-on and everything, that's a whole different argument. People do say Snap-on makes the best ratchets. They do make some good ratchets, but I like to look at all factors involved, including price. And so that's an argument for a different day. But as I said, I mean, we look at this, I mean, they look pretty much the same. Now, supposedly the straight handled ratchets are supposed to be stronger than the comfort grip ratchets. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've never had a problem using the comfort grip. But as I said, if I'm working on something to where I need to like apply that much force, man, if I could get an impact in there, I'm using an impact. I'm not using a ratchet. I want to use a ratchet for smaller things that I couldn't maybe not use an impact for, but 99% of the time, man, I'm using an impact. I'm not even using a ratchet. But there are times where you need a ratchet, and there are times where you should use a ratchet over an impact. But with that being said, let's pop this open and let's take a look at the inside.